All right, let me get moving because I've got to run uh, before long. But and I've been fighting myself because I'm nervous about trying to share this because I'm worried about how you will accept it. If you received a message from me directly about this video, then it's because you're one of the people that I carry with me all the time. If I haven't talked to you in months, maybe even years, it doesn't matter. I think about you uh, regularly and hold goodwill towards you. Even some of you who I haven't spoken to and probably won't speak to, that we may have broken in some fashion. However, I still feel that this is information that we all must have, and that um, whatever is between us, whatever is between us, is less important than what is being done to us by the banks and the financial systems and our lack of understanding how to operate in there. So I'm going to go through this very quickly and try to do this on a regular basis. And how do I want to start out by saying that I am not a guru? I'm not trying to teach you something that I have mastered. I am learning something that we all need to know, and I'm sharing it as best I can. So if you have questions, that's great. I may know and I may not, and we will learn together. So please ask anything that you need to. All right, I'm going to just go real quick because there's not a whole lot for me to do except to tell you that I put $1,000 in an account, and let me see where's my deal here. I'm not going to show you, go through the whole thing, trying to figure out how to show you my actual uh, the paper itself and everything. But I had a balance in a savings account, a little over $1,000 actually, that was in a savings account for 1 month, and because it has a annual percentage yield earned of 0.05%. It's an annual percentage return of 0.5% in a savings account. Another account that was not a savings account, that was a high yield savings account, and I am trying to find that particular paper, but it had something like a where are you? It had something like a annual percentage yield of 4.29%. So that is much better than 0.5%. That's almost 4.5% over the course of a year. The problem with that is that inflation, your money, you understand why that's a problem. I hope. If not, ask. We'll go over that. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this focused because I've got a lot to do today. Happy birthday, dear. Um, but this is, like I said, for my family and friends, and I want to share with you this deal here. Um, I deposited $1,000 into this account, and I'm gonna go through here real quick, and I'm actually gonna pull it up in two different places because can't look at it because it's on screen. Um, because of the way that they're, it shows the transactions and stuff, because I want to explain as quickly as I can what I did with that $1,000 to get 68. Okay, I deposited that $1,000 on 2 months ago, December 6th. I didn't actually start using it until the 11th. And from the 11th, I've been able to earn $68. That's almost $70 on that $1,000. That's a much better yield, percentage yield on that. Let's see what that is. That's $70 divided by the $1,000 is a 7% so far interest. Understand that's just so far this year, because I'll show you how that works, because this is my initial deposit and then what I've earned on top of that. Whereas my initial deposit in that savings account got me half a penny per thousand or per hundred. So it was like $5, $4.41 for uh, an $1,800 balance that was in a savings account. So let's go over what and how that transpired. And I'm going to go over here. I'm learning how to use this system. So this is the margin account. This is the simulated account. I do this every time. Okay, so this is simulated money, and I'm trying to show you what the real deal is, because the simulated money blew my socks off, which is why I was able to go ahead and put the real money in there to kind of see how that goes. So let me pull this back up, my Charles Schwab account. But I can show you here that $1,000 I put in, and what I want to show you is the different types of trades that I'm making, and I'm going to have to explain to you, and I'm going to just go through it, and then, like I said, questions if you have them. Something called options. That is not buying the shares of stock, but rather buying the control of the shares of stock, and I'll explain that as we progress, if and when you follow along, and if you ask questions. But an option is similar to, the best way I can explain is like they talk about a house, right? Like I could go up to someone and say, hey, I see you're selling your house. You're wanting $100,000 for it. I'll make sure you get that $100,000 for it. Then I can, if you sign a deal with the person, you can have them sell your house for that $100,000. Now, if they turn around and find somebody who's willing to give them $125,000, where does that go? In their pocket. They are operating between you, much the same way the banks do. Don't get this like, oh, I don't want to do this, whatever. The banks, or I'm sorry, not the banks. The option is a method, and it is complicated. That's why people don't do it, but it's not that complicated, and that's why I'm trying to break it down for you. Um, but an option is where you receive a premium. The way I look at it is what I'm using here are covered calls, because there's two types of options. There's a call and a put, and I'll explain those at some point. But a call is simply, the way I look at it is, you're going to pay me to go and buy the stock today, but you want to buy it for another price, regardless of how much it is. Okay. Now I'll explain why someone would do that. They're going to pay me what this person did with this $1,000. Okay. Let me go up here to the first actual transaction that I took. First actual transaction came in right here, where I bought what is called a covered call for $400. Of the shares that I bought at the time that I bought them were $4.09. But I received 9 cents from someone, and everything is on a scale. So it was 100 shares, so it was $9. But I received 9 cents to go and buy that share for $4. Well, for 409. So I actually spent $4 because he gave me 9 cents. The market gave me 9 cents. I went and bought that share for $4. I bought 100 of them, so it was $400. As you can see there on the screen, if you look, $400 I spent on the shares. Plus, I got that 9 cents. Okay. Now I did that with a 1 week contract, saying that on Friday, if the market closes, or on Friday, you can buy these shares from me for $4. Doesn't matter what the price is. If the price shot all the way up to $6, then that's a great deal for you because you gave me 9 cents. That's my money just in my pocket. I bought the shares at that point was like say 409. Then I had to sell them for $4, right? So that I would have basically got my money back. 9 cents. I'm got for the nine over the 9 cents over the $4 plus my $4. So I spent 409. He gave me nine. I spent four on Friday. If I gave him the shares for $4, I would just have the 9 cents and be like, oh well, I'm even, right? I didn't let that happen, and that didn't happen because the price, in fact, went down on the share. And I'll try to get to where I can show this here. Let me switch this over to the live account. Um, but the $4.09 that I spent on the shares, the $4.09 that I spent on the shares is, let's just say I got the shares for $4. I got 9 cents for doing it, right? The next week, because what I did, because that didn't go down, the price went down. And why would that be in my favor? Because that person on Friday gets to get the shares from me for $4. That's the contract that he has. It's not an obligation. I can't go to him and say, hey, you give me my $4 for those shares, even though they're down to $3.50. But that person has the option to buy the shares for $4. Well, they cost $3.50 at that point down here. So if they're down here, because this is not going to show me the dates that I want. Let me do it this way, and I will be able to show you the dates that I want. Okay, so on the 11th, when we made that deal, the shares were $4. It was that day they got all over, but the 409 was the cost that I in particular paid for them. And we can see that when I go over here and take a look at the orders, trades. Oh, it's the wrong account. There we go. There we go. And all of these were done on there. Okay. So you can see here that on the 11th, I bought the shares. I've got them mixed up with another one. I got 17 cents for getting the shares. So I bought them for 417. That was the price on that particular day. Where'd we go back here? On the 11th, I got them for 417. There's where they had spiked up a little bit. So I got it at 417, which was the price that it was, and they gave me the 17 cents. So now the $4.17 is invested into there. But remember, 17 of that came from outside. Then I went that 11th, looks like the next day, because I think I did it like right there. Yeah, that was like a Thursday, because was it a Friday 13th on that day? Expiration date was the 13th. Yeah, so that would have been a Friday. So on the 11th, 2 days before, I made this deal for them. The price of the stock went down, and so what I was able to do was buy that contract back for 10 cents. They'd given me 17 cents. I bought it back for 10 cents, meaning, and the reason you do that is what you call a roll, and moved it out so that the next contract would be due on the 20th. Now on the 20th, I received 19 cents for that. This is where the 9 cents came from, because that next week I received 9 cents, $9. So remember, I've now received $17, $9. I did pay $4.17 for it, so the initial cost was really $4. I then received $9. Then I had to do that again the next week. I rolled it out. Actually, this was another type of option that I used to get some, and I'll skip over that for the moment to let you know. However, I will tell you this real quick. I spent $4 here. I did spend 17 because I was on the other side of a transaction, similar but not exactly the same as a call. but it was called a put, so that I made a deal that would allow me or require me to buy the shares at $4, and they gave me 17 cents to do so. It required me to buy them at $4 if the price was, well, like I said, I'm learning this, so I won't go down that rabbit hole with the puts. I meant to skip over that all the way, but to suffice it to say that I paid out the $4, had to pay out the $17 or 17 cents twice for two contracts. Um, but then I received the pay on each week afterwards. I just had to keep rolling them, and receiving credits. I received $18. I received one little measly dollar, but I didn't lose my share. The reason for the rolling, again, is if you look here, at some points the price got way above that $4, and it might have been worth it for someone to actually require me to sell them the shares for $4. But I didn't want to do that at that point because I wanted to keep making the money on it. And so so what I did eventually with those shares was allow them to be the end of the 24th. I got this uh, for the first to roll out my shares so that I received that last $4 payment, adding all that up. And what I was able to do, and I'll just ask you to keep with me here. But yeah, what I was able to do was take those premiums totaling $68. I now have $68 minus the fact that I had to pay some premiums. I don't know if this won't show it on here. So I'll have to go back over here to this part of the account and show you where I had to pay premiums all along the way, because that's part of the commissions and fees, right? So I had some fees and commissions. So instead of $9, if you do the numbers here, it's going to end up being $7 and some change. And then instead of $10, it's $8 and some change. Instead of 24, it's 23 and some change. But that's okay, because when it all shook out, again, in those 2 months, this is the 3rd of February, so it's not yet been 2 full months from December to January the 11th, and now waiting, like I'm a week ahead, so like the end of this week. But in that time frame, I was able to take that $1,000, get those premiums on this. And the thing about it is the same way that I'm talking about 9 cents is actually $9 because of the scale. That 1,000 could be 10,000, could be 5,000, could be 500. This is why you need to understand it, because you can scale it up for yourself to make your money work for you. I was hit with this realization. I have heard this phrase so many times over the years that the way to do it is to make your money work for you. Your money's got to make money for you. And I've often thought about that and thought about it in terms of, oh yeah, so I need to buy a truck so that I can do deliveries and making my money work for me. But that was me doing the work. The actual thing here is that the money itself is doing the work. I'm putting myself in service to these other players, because there's the guy that I started learning this from likes to make the statement that 80% of options expire worthless. So wouldn't you rather sell them than buy them? Because if you buy them, it's a contract that if it expires worthless, as this did several times, right? Because I just rolled it out, and rather than wait for it to end, which I could have done, and then moved a little differently, and actually may have had a little better return, but it was safer this way, because then it couldn't get called away because I made those rolls. You'll remember that I did this one here in December 17th for only a penny. So like I bought or sold the shares, the contract rather, for just a penny. So $1. But it gave me the time till Friday to be able to see what the next week would provide and how that would work. And I will show you this at the risk of scaring you away, because this is what an option chain looks like when you're looking at them. This is saying that on the February the 7th, this same share that we're talking about, this MPW, which is a medical property REIT, real estate investment trust. So they own doctors' offices and medical buildings. So that's how they make their money. And as a REIT, real estate investment trust, they are duty bound to pay out a dividend. Now, the dividend I was able to capture, which is the name of this strategy, is called dividend capture. Um, I was able to capture that dividend because during that time frame, and I actually, this was the actual strategy, was on the 11th when I bought that share. They, let me see if I can figure out how to get this to show me what I want it to show me. MPW. So in the month of December 2024, no, it's not showing. Oh, it's still. Well, I won't worry about showing you the calendar. I'll just show you here on this calendar. On December the 11th, when I bought the shares, they had what is called, okay, a dividend is when you get paid by the company a portion of the profits that the company has. Because when you own a share, you are the owner of that company. Remember, I said we're dealing with control. That's what these are, these contracts. But this is a covered, someone has to own the shares for you to sell it, right? So I had to buy the shares on the 11th. On the 12th, they have what is called an X date. The company, for the dividend, they pay 8% or 8 cents for every share that you have. I initially bought the 400 or the 100 shares. So I received a dividend of $8 because on the 12th, they look at their books and they say, who owns these stocks that we have? They look at their 1,244 stocks and they say, everybody who owns one of those gets 8 cents for each one that they owned. I owned 100, I got $8. I didn't get it on that day. I didn't get it until the middle of the next month because they have what's called an X date, which is the execution date, the date that it happens that you own the shares, and then a date of record, which is when they choose or when they examine the books to determine who owned it on that date. And then the third and most important date is the payout date. So on, I believe it was the 9th of January, but in January, I suddenly received a dividend from Medical Properties Trust of $8 that they just, boom, popped in my account. I could have sold those shares on the 14th. Actually, you see, the 13th, because they're the 12th was the date that I had to have owned them. So I could have let them disappear at that point and just taken that 8 cents. So we call that $8 that's in the pocket. And we got this $9, and we got that 17, and we got this, and we got that, and then I had to put this out, and it's just keeping those numbers in balance. It's not hard. It just takes time to understand what all these numbers and whatnot mean. Because again, when you look at the trading table, it's telling you got to understand some different things. This is a strike price, right? This is saying the price that you are as an option buyer saying, like, if the price reaches this much, $5, and I pay you 3 cents now, you'll go out and buy it for the 470 that it costs, right? So you're only going to pay 471 in reality, because I'm giving you 3 of the cents that you need to pay for it. So that's what you're going to pay. Then come Friday, because it's a contract that ends on this day, come Friday, I get to buy that for this much, for the strike price. That's the deal that we've struck a deal on. $5. That's how much you'll pay me for them. You have the option. You don't have to pay me $5 for them because it costs $4.79. You don't want to pay $5 for them. I just keep the 3 cents that you paid me to go get it. If it does cost, now here's where it gets a little interesting, because let's say that the price is $4.75 like it is now. You at a minute ago it was $4.71 because it's constantly changing, but it was $4.71 you gave me, or $4.74, and you paid me 3 cents, so I really paid $4.71 for it. Now here it is Friday, it's $4.75. You paid $4.70. I paid $4.71 plus you gave me 3 cents, and you have a deal that you can get them for $5. The problem is the stock's not yet $5. So why would you pay $5 that you could only turn around and sell for less than $5? So you won't do it. So I'll just keep that premium. If, however, you pay, or if, however, the stock is above that price, here's the kicker. It's going to need to be more than the price of the stock and what you've already paid for it, because you would have just paid $4.03 rather than give me 3 cents, go buy it for $4 and blah, and then you get $4.04. What's the point of that? You're not going to do that unless the price jumps way up. That's what gives me a chance to move on it. So like, there were times the stock didn't actually get pulled away from me until after the end of last week. So after the end of Friday, the person bought the contract closed, and I won't go into that. The contract closed on Friday because market closed on Friday. So on Saturday, the broker comes in, says, here's this contract, and boom, it exercises it, because I have a contract that says that these shares, that I'm entitled to $4 for each share, and that's what he's going to give me, because he can then say, look, I bought these shares for $4. That's how much he gave me. And then turn right around and sell them for $4.79 or $4.93 or whatever the price ended up being. Like here we are Monday and it's $4.75. Whoever got them from me on Saturday gave me $4. That's going to be in my account right here at the end of this last week. I received, where's cash balance? I sold the calendar MPW. Oh, that's way back 17. There we are. They expired on the 1st for that amount. And at that point, I had 2 contracts, so 2,000 shares. And so I received $800. I'm sorry, 200 shares. Because again, $4 times the 200 shares that I had is $800. So that's the $800 that I just suddenly got back into my account. Money never left my account. Not the money didn't leave my account. The money changed into stock at some point. I bought them for, remember, I bought them way back at the beginning for $800. Well, because I got them at separate times, I paid $800 for them, and I got $800 back for them. In the meantime, I received a premium for, the way I look at it, for being the pawn on the chessboard for you. You got big plans, big dreams. You want to pay me a nickel to go buy this stock for $4. And I'll happily go do that for you. Because come Friday, you'll give me the $4 for the shares and I'm good. You'll get the $5 for the share because you'll turn around and get the $4. Now, see, and the reason that that person would do it is because they only spent the nickel to send me to go get the stock. Then I spent my money to get the stock. Then they'll give me the money back or not. If they don't give me the money back, I just got the stock. That's okay because the stock is worth something. Why is it worth something? Because I can do this same option over and over and over again. In fact, that's exactly what I did. I had this many contracts. I mean, you can see that I did a contract here, the 12th. Each one of these, there's one contract, there's another one, there's 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 one. So I had to do a little bit of paper pushing, button clicking. Took a lot of time to understand what this is all about, and that's what I'm going to be sharing over the days and weeks, because I'm sitting here in 30 minutes trying to explain something when I was only going to try and do it in 15 minutes. So long story short, not very short, is that the bank gave me on $1,800 $4.41 in the course of 1 month. In the course of 2 months, I got 10 times, 68 divided by $4. Well, we'll call it $5 divided by $5, 13 times, 13 and a half times what the bank offered. And you can do this. We're going to do this. We are going to do this because you have money sitting in the bank. Your money in the bank, and they give you $5 for the money that you kept in the bank for the month. But no, now it's the beginning of the month and you got to make a car payment, or you got to make this or that a payment. So your money just goes down. And now next month you have less money for them to give you that 5% on. And if you can, my goal is to get 1% per week. If I can get 1% per week, then that works out to 52 weeks in a year, 50% on your profit, or on 50% interest, 50% growth on your money. It takes a little bit of time for you to understand what's going on. We're going to work on it. We're going to work together and learn together. So again, thanks for taking some time. If you got the message directly from me, I'm not asking you to shoot me a call and try and ask me a bunch of questions, because I do love you, but I did send it out to a lot more people than you might imagine, because I got a big heart and I see everybody as somebody who shouldn't be taken advantage of. And we're only taken advantage of because we don't know. And we don't know because we haven't been told. I am here to tell you, because it is disheartening to think that you can put a chunk of money in the bank and it will just go down. That's all. Down, down, down. When in fact it could grow. And I know it could grow because that's what the banks and the insurance companies, but that's what the banks are doing, is taking your money in. And you already know this. They're taking your money in, and you remember the It's a Wonderful Life. Oh, your money's not here. It's in Old Man Johnson's farm and old Sarah's bakery shop, and it's in that, and you boom, 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 boom. It's circulating because it's called. Now I'm going to stop. It's called currency. It says right on there. Somewhere on there it says currency. And you know what currency? What else is called currency? Electricity, right? It's got to move. It's got to flow. Water has a current. It flows. The money needs to flow. If it doesn't, your blood needs to flow. What happens if your blood sits in one spot? If I sit in this chair and don't move, I've got a little alarm on my watch that goes off, tells me stand up, move, walk around. Because if you sit there and let that blood just pool in your legs, what happens? You go to get up and you get all dizzy and your legs don't tingle. They tingle because they don't work because the blood's not flowing. Your money's got to flow or it won't grow. That's what we're trying to change for ourselves. And I'm here to help you. So please, let's learn together. And I think I'm going to end it there. I did not do what I wanted to do. I did more than I wanted to do and did less than I wanted to do. So come back next time so that we can get this together. But when you get the message, well, if you're watching the video, all I need you to do is to like it. That's all. Because if you don't care, you don't got to come back. If you think it's crazy, don't come back. But it's not. So to my sister-in-law, hook me up with making sure this information gets to the youngins, to O, to K, right? They need to know. I'm working on DJ Squared. That's got to happen within the family and also your family and also your friends, because we need to know we are in tumultuous times. So we need to have some skills to protect ourselves a little bit. I'm here to help you with that. Let's do it. Together, we can. And with that, I'm going to end it and see you next time.